What you're about to see will shake you to your core. A woman who dedicated 3 years of her life to a man and his family, only to be betrayed the moment he was gone. But what they didn't know? The cameras were watching every single moment. This is the story of Maya Chen, and how one funeral turned into the most shocking revelation that would change everything. Stay until the end, because what the CCTV footage revealed will leave you speechless. Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss stories like this. Trust me, you're going to want to follow this channel after what you're about to hear. Our story begins 3 years ago in a quiet suburban neighborhood in Portland, Oregon. Maya Chen, a 29-year-old hospice nurse, met Robert Harrison, a 68-year-old retired teacher, through a volunteer program at the local community center. Robert had been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and his prognosis was grim. The doctors gave him 6 months to live. But Robert defied those odds, and Maya was there for every single day of those 3 years. Maya wasn't hired help. She wasn't being paid by the family. She volunteered her time, her energy, and her heart to care for Robert. She would arrive at his home every morning at 7 a.m. sharp, help him with his medication, prepare his meals according to his strict dietary requirements, and most importantly, she gave him something money couldn't buy: genuine companionship. Robert's family? They had their own lives. His daughter Patricia lived 2 states away and visited maybe once every few months. His son David lived just 20 minutes away but was always too busy with his tech startup to visit more than once a month. His younger sister Margaret would call occasionally but rarely made the trip from her retirement community in Arizona. Maya filled that void. She read to Robert when his eyes grew too tired. She played chess with him every Tuesday and Thursday evening. She listened to his stories about his 40 years of teaching, about his late wife Sarah who had passed away 5 years earlier, about his regrets and his hopes. She held his hand during the worst pain episodes, drove him to countless doctor appointments, and never once complained. The neighbors noticed. They would see Maya's small blue Honda pull up every morning without fail, rain or shine, holidays included. Christmas Day, Maya was there. Thanksgiving, Maya was there. Her own birthday, Maya was there. "She's an angel," Mrs. Peterson from next door would say. "That girl has a heart of gold." As Robert's condition worsened in year 3, Maya's commitment only deepened. She took a leave of absence from her regular nursing job to be with him full-time. She moved into the guest room so she could provide round-the-clock care. She managed his medications, coordinated with his medical team, and ensured his final months were as comfortable and dignified as possible. During this time, Robert's family became more present, but not for the reasons you might think. Patricia suddenly had time to visit every other week. David started dropping by twice a week, always asking about his father's affairs and documents. Margaret made 3 trips in 2 months, each time inquiring about Robert's properties and investments. Maya noticed the change, but she stayed silent. Her focus was Robert, not the family dynamics that were becoming increasingly tense. Robert noticed too. One evening, 2 months before he passed, Robert called Maya to sit with him. His voice was weak, but his mind was sharp. "Maya," he said, grasping her hand, "I need you to know something. My children, they're not bad people, but they've forgotten what matters. You've shown me more love in 3 years than they've shown me in the last decade. I've made arrangements. I've made sure you're taken care of." Maya protested. "Mr. Harrison, I didn't do this for money or recognition. I did this because you're my friend." "I know," Robert smiled weakly. "That's exactly why you deserve it." Robert passed away peacefully on a Tuesday morning in early March, with Maya holding his hand. She had been reading him his favorite book, To Kill a Mockingbird, when he took his last breath. She wept, not as a caregiver, but as someone who had lost a dear friend. The funeral was held 4 days later at Riverside Memorial Chapel. It was a beautiful service. Over 200 people attended, former students, colleagues, and community members whose lives Robert had touched during his 4 decades as an educator. Maya sat in the 3rd row, dressed in a simple black dress, her eyes red from crying. She had helped plan the entire service, per Robert's written wishes that he had shared with her months earlier. Patricia, David, and Margaret sat in the front row, dabbing their eyes with tissues, accepting condolences from the steady stream of attendees. To anyone watching, they appeared to be grieving children mourning their beloved father. After the service, there was a reception at Robert's house. This is where everything changed. Maya was helping in the kitchen, preparing coffee and arranging the food that neighbors had brought when she overheard Patricia's voice from the living room. "We need to talk about that woman," Patricia hissed to her siblings. "Which woman?" David asked. "Maya, the nurse, or whatever she was. Did you see her at the funeral? Crying like she was family. It was almost offensive." Maya froze, her hand suspended over the coffee pot. Margaret chimed in. "I've been thinking about this. Dad was vulnerable, sick, not in his right mind toward the end. Who knows what she convinced him to do?" "Exactly," Patricia continued. "I'm calling our lawyer tomorrow. If Dad changed his will or left her anything, we're contesting it. She clearly manipulated an elderly, dying man. It's textbook elder abuse." The days following the funeral were brutal for Maya. The family's attorney contacted her, informing her that Robert's children were questioning the validity of his will and any provisions made for her. They demanded she vacate Robert's home immediately and accused her of undue influence and financial exploitation. Maya was devastated, not because of the money or property, she had never cared about that, but because they were tarnishing Robert's memory and dismissing the genuine relationship they had built. Patricia went further. She began spreading rumors in the community, suggesting that Maya had isolated Robert from his family, that she had been after his money all along, that she had convinced a dying man to change his will. Some people who didn't know Maya well began to whisper and wonder. The attorney representing Robert's estate called Maya for a meeting. Maya went, prepared to walk away from everything if it meant ending the nightmare. She had lost her friend. She didn't have the energy to fight his family. But the attorney, Mr. James Morrison, had a strange expression when she arrived. He wasn't hostile. He looked almost amused. "Ms. Chen," he said, gesturing for her to sit. "I've been Robert's attorney for 30 years. I knew him very well, and I need you to know something before we proceed. Robert Harrison was one of the sharpest, most mentally sound individuals I've ever known, right up until his final day. That's medically documented by 3 different physicians." Maya nodded, unsure where this was going. "Robert came to me 14 months ago," Morrison continued. "He was very clear about his wishes. He was also very clear about what he thought might happen after his death. That's why he took certain precautions." Morrison pulled out a thick folder. "Robert left you the guest house on his property, valued at approximately $400,000, along with a trust fund of $250,000 for your continued education and future. He left his main house and the bulk of his estate to his children, as expected. But he also left something else." He slid a document across the table. It was a letter in Robert's handwriting. Maya's hands trembled as she read it. In the letter, Robert expressed his deep gratitude for her care and friendship. He acknowledged that his children might react poorly to his gifts to her. And then came the paragraph that made Maya's eyes widen. "I have installed security cameras throughout my home with audio recording capabilities. I have documented the past 18 months of my life, including conversations, visits, and daily activities. This footage is to be reviewed if my mental capacity or my intentions are ever questioned. Maya never asked me for anything. The truth is captured forever." Morrison smiled. "Robert was a teacher, Ms. Chen. He believed in evidence. The cameras were professionally installed by a security company, all properly documented and legal. When his children filed their contestation, claiming undue influence, they triggered the clause that requires us to review the footage." "And?" Maya whispered. "And I've spent the last 3 days reviewing 18 months of footage. Would you like to know what I found?" Morrison pulled out a laptop and turned it toward Maya. "Let me show you some highlights." The first clip showed David visiting his father 6 months before Robert's death. The audio was crystal clear. "So, Dad, have you thought about what we discussed? About putting the house in a trust with me as the executor? It would just make things easier, you know, when the time comes." Robert's response was firm. "David, I've told you 3 times now. My affairs are in order. Please don't ask again." The next clip showed Patricia during one of her visits, rifling through Robert's desk while he was napping in the other room. Maya appeared in the doorway. "Can I help you find something, Patricia?" Patricia jumped, startled. "Oh, just looking for some photos. Family memories, you know." But the camera had captured her looking through financial documents, not photo albums. Another clip showed Margaret on the phone in Robert's kitchen, thinking she was alone. "Yes, I know Mom's jewelry is somewhere in this house. That collection is worth at least $50,000. I'm not leaving that for some stranger to find. No, David won't share it properly. I need to find it first." Morrison paused the playback. There are dozens of clips like this. And then there are the other clips. Morrison played different footage. This showed Maya's daily routine with Robert, her patience when he was frustrated, her gentle humor when he was sad, her quiet presence when he was in pain, reading to him, playing chess, helping him video call with old friends and former students. One clip showed Robert trying to give Maya a check for her care. "Mr. Harrison, I told you, I'm not accepting payment. You're my friend. Maya, you've taken leave from your job. You need income. I have savings, and I'll go back to work when you don't need me anymore." Robert's eyes had filled with tears in that moment. "You're too good for this world, kid." Another clip from just a month before his death showed Robert on the phone with his attorney Morrison himself. "Jim, I'm doing this because it's right. Maya has sacrificed 3 years of her life, her career, her own social life, to care for a dying old man. Not for money, not for recognition, because she has a good heart. My kids will be fine with what I'm leaving them, but Maya needs to know she's appreciated. And frankly, if they contest it, show them the footage. They've shown their true colors enough times on camera." Morrison closed the laptop. "Ms. Chen, not only is Robert's will going to stand, but his children's behavior, both before and after his death, has been documented. Their attorney has advised them to drop the contest after reviewing just a fraction of this footage." A meeting was arranged at the attorney's office. Patricia, David, and Margaret arrived expecting to intimidate Maya into surrendering her inheritance. Instead, they found themselves sitting across from Morrison and a very quiet Maya. Morrison didn't waste time. "Before we begin, I need to show you something." He played a compilation of clips. David's financial pressuring, Patricia's snooping, Margaret's scheming phone call, their absence during Robert's worst days, the stark contrast with Maya's constant, caring presence. The three siblings watched in growing horror as their own words and actions played back to them. "This is entrapment," Patricia sputtered. "This is documentation," Morrison corrected calmly. "Your father was a thorough man. He knew, he saw, and he made his decisions with complete mental clarity, as verified by 3 physicians who examined him specifically for this purpose. Your contestation has no legal ground to stand on." "But she manipulated him," David insisted, though his voice had lost its conviction. Morrison played one more clip. It was Robert, speaking directly to the camera like a video diary, dated just 3 weeks before his death. "To my children, if you're watching this, it means you've questioned my decisions. I want you to know, Maya Chen never asked me for a penny. She never suggested I change my will. She never tried to turn me against you. I made these decisions because I wanted to reward genuine kindness and loyalty. The gifts I've given Maya are from my personal funds, not your mother's inheritance. You're still receiving the house, the rental properties, and the bulk of my estate. But Maya deserves recognition for what she's done. I hope someday you'll understand that love isn't measured in blood relation, but in presence, care, and sacrifice. I loved you all, but I'm disappointed in what you've become. I hope you'll do better. Dad." The room fell silent. Margaret was crying. David stared at his hands. Patricia looked like she wanted to disappear through the floor. Maya finally spoke, her voice soft but steady. "I don't want to fight with you, I never did. Your father was an incredible man who deserved better from all of us. Yes, including me. I should have encouraged him to reach out to you more, to repair those relationships. But he was stubborn, and frankly, so were all of you." She took a breath. "I'm not here to take anything from you. The guest house and the trust your father left me are generous beyond words, but what mattered most to me was being his friend. If you want to contest the will, go ahead. I'll walk away. But you'll be disrespecting your father's clear wishes, and you'll be dragging his name and memory through a legal battle. Is that really what you want?" The 3 siblings exchanged glances. The fight had left them. Patricia spoke first, her voice thick with emotion. "We were terrible to him, and we were terrible to you. I'm sorry." David nodded. "He deserved better. You deserved better. I'm sorry." Margaret wiped her eyes. "Thank you for being there when we weren't." Morrison pulled out the final documents. "The will stands as written. I suggest you all take time to reflect on what you've learned here today." 6 months later, Maya had transformed the guest house into a beautiful small home. She had returned to nursing, but now she specialized in elderly care, inspired by her time with Robert. She had also started a non-profit organization called Present Love Foundation, which connected volunteers with isolated elderly individuals who needed companionship. Something unexpected had happened, though. Patricia had reached out, then David, then Margaret, separately at first, then together. They asked to see the footage, not the clips Morrison had shown, but the everyday moments, the chess games, the reading sessions, the quiet conversations. They watched their father's final years through a stranger's eyes and saw the man they had forgotten he was, the teacher who loved literature, the chess enthusiast, the storyteller, the gentle soul who just wanted company. Patricia started volunteering with Maya's foundation. David became a major donor. Margaret moved back from Arizona, bought a condo near Maya, and the two began having weekly coffee meetings where Margaret would share stories about Robert and his late wife, Sarah. The family dynamic had changed. They weren't close exactly, but there was respect, understanding, a shared mission to honor Robert's memory by being better people. Maya visits Robert's grave every Sunday. She brings fresh flowers and tells him about her week, about the foundation, about how his children are doing. Sometimes one of them joins her. The CCTV footage that Robert had so carefully compiled became an unexpected gift. Not just evidence for a legal battle, but a mirror that forced a family to see themselves clearly. It was Robert's final lesson, his last attempt to teach the people he loved about what truly matters. Maya kept one clip on her phone. It was from a year before Robert's death. He was having a good day, sitting in his favorite chair, and Maya had just brought him tea. "Maya," he said, smiling at the camera without realizing it was there. "Did I ever tell you that you remind me of why I became a teacher? You showed me that there are still good people in this world. Thank you for letting an old man be part of your life." That's the truth the cameras revealed. Not manipulation, not exploitation, just pure, selfless friendship between two people who found each other when they both needed it most. Sometimes loyalty is repaid with betrayal, but sometimes, just sometimes, the truth has a way of emerging exactly when it's needed most. Robert Harrison made sure of that. If this story moved you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more incredible true stories. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that genuine kindness still exists in this world. And remember, cameras see everything. But more importantly, people remember. Choose to be someone worth remembering for the right reasons. Until next time, take care of each other.